Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that are read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the CEO and co founder of Tech Rescue, no other than Mr. Andrew Bolton.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Andrew. Can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Bolton. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Tech Rescue LLC. We're a 24-hour customer support helpline specializing with technology. We handle everything from Bluetooth connectivity to printer setup to router installations to everything you could possibly imagine. One phone call, 24 hours a day, and you get real help with a real person anytime, anywhere in the world.
Anytime, 24/7, people. Mr. Andrew Bolton, thank you so much for sharing your expertise to the world. So let's talk about tech anxiety is the next public health crisis. Can you tell us about this?
Yes. So our company specializes in small businesses as well as assisted living facilities or ALFs. These facilities here in the United States and throughout the world are these facilities and retirement homes for seniors and elderly care. And one of the things that we've come across in the past 2 years of our company being in existence is that we are seeing more and more cases of anxiety and depression throughout the senior care market. And what we've been finding is that with our business, we know that people just want to connect. People just want to have somebody that they can talk to, that can solve their problems, that can just be empathetic to them. And as we've gotten anywhere between 175 to anywhere between 420 phone calls a day, we have the data to back up the claims that 72% of all seniors around the country are not technically savvy. They don't understand technology. Technology advances 5 years every year to them. We, as the younger generations, have grown up with technology and have adapted to it in our everyday lives. They haven't. And they get frustrated and they get tired, and that starts to build up some health issues. Early stage onslaught dementia is introduced to the body through many different methods, through chromosome mutations, as well as the body's overall wear and tear and decay. But what also can cause early onset dementia is high doses of cortisol and stress. So, on a regular basis, if we're having somebody that is having high doses of cortisol and stress and anxiety, that starts to play a significant role into things such as heart attack, stroke, um, and dementia, Alzheimer's. These are things that can trigger these early onslaught diseases that normally would not be taking place. So with our company, we have put empathy and compassion first when we're dealing with our customers. So every phone call we have is a hot call. And what I mean by a hot call is stress, anger, anxiety, depression, frustration, confusion. Every phone call that we get is typically something that is considered a hot call. And what makes our team a fantastic organization is that every one of our people have cultivated skills and methods of pivoting a conversation and redirecting it. And one of the great things I love about my company and what we do is that when somebody says, "Thank you so much for helping me," we get offers of cookies, of baked goods. Where can I send a plate of cookies or something? And, just a thank you, you being taken care of, and, us solving your problem is payment enough. And the first thing that they always hear over the phone is, "How can we help you today?" That means a lot to somebody. And in a world full of technology, that automation, chatbots, robots, AI, an AI doesn't care. A robot
Yes.
doesn't care. But when you hear, "Hi, Mrs. Anderson, thank you for calling Tech Rescue. How can I help you today? How can I make your day better?" You don't know what somebody else is going through on the other end. You don't know what kind of day they have had. You don't know. You may not know what kind of experience they've had for the past day, week, month, and just that little bit of kindness, that little bit of empathy, can change somebody's day, can make somebody's day a whole lot better.
Totally agree with you, Mister. And why do you believe tech anxiety could become the next major public health crisis?
The reason why we have this fear, and we've been reaching out to the New England Journal of Medicine, a few other publications on some of our findings, is that we're not doing anything to address this. We are focused solely on capital acquisition or generating alpha or profits. And many times, we find that the elderly care for many different areas of expertise, whether it's medical, mental, staffing, whether we find it in culinary in terms of the type of foods that they're getting served in these institutions, you know, is not the top tier, is not for what the money that they're paying for. So if you look at the average cost of a senior living facility, the average monthly cost to a family or insurance company is somewhere in the neighborhood of around 6 to 9 thousand US dollars per month. And that's just the assisted living part. That's independent living, meaning that they have a room, they have a bathroom, they have a kitchen, a small kitchenette, a small little living area, and a bed in a bed area. I would say the average size is about a 20 by 30 or a 10 by 20 room. And they're not really being helped. I mean, yes, there is medical facilities there. Yes, there is activities, but we're not really pushing for them. They, as a consumer, are the ones pushing for it. They're buying. Believe it or not, we've seen an increase in our business by 18% in the calls on dating, social dating apps, and also video games. We're writing another paper on senior citizens in 2025 here in the United States that is showing that almost 20% of the revenue generated in the video gaming industry is coming from those 50 and older. There's disposable income. They want to be engaged. They found a way to interact with a much younger generation and some of their own peers, and they're able to connect anywhere in the world. If you're a video game enthusiast, whether it's PC, laptop, or a console, you can play multi-personal games with people from all over the world. We have created a world and a society that we can connect anywhere in the world, from families in India, Pakistan, China, Japan, here in the United States, or anywhere in the world. But in doing so, we have slowly started eroding that human connectivity. There's something to be said about going to a coffee shop just to have a cup of coffee with somebody. You could do that over the phone, but it's not the same. And that's slowly taking a toll. We can see it in the data.
Mr. Andrew, are there psychological consequences of constant notification of multitasking?
Yes, studies have been shown that um, cognitive multitasking slowly wears away the person's ability to focus on tasks to completion. In a way, we're with technology, chat GDP, instant messaging, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of it, we have given ourselves anxiety because we have to be in constant validation states. So if you don't understand what that means, is if you go to any restaurant and you see a group of kids taking pictures of their meal, we never used to do that. Us children of the 90s, we didn't take pictures of our food. Why are you taking pictures of your food? Because you want validation from the outside world. And what happens is when you don't receive the validation that you think you're going to get, you delete it and you try something else. We are in this constant state of seeking approval, and it's exhausting. And we're finding increased rates of depression, increased rates of suicide, increased rates of The dating market in the United States is bleeding into the rest of the world. China, Mongolia, Japan, Sweden, Denmark are all complaining about drops in population. Italy is complaining about drops in population. We have created a society where we are trying to instantaneously get validation from the rest of the world on everything we're doing. And we're also basing our relationships off of that. If my relation, I had a conversation with an acquaintance of mine, and she was saying that she doesn't post a picture of her and her significant other unless it gets at least 50 likes.
It's a
That
truly validation.
that's crazy. It's crazy.
True. So, do you think tech companies have a moral responsibility to address tech anxiety?
That's a good question. A private, has the responsibility to its customers. A public company has a responsibility and an obligation to its shareholders. We have focused primarily our responsibilities on basically our shareholders and not our customers and not the overall good of society. So back in the late 70s, early 80s, when we created uh, derivative default swaps and credit swaps and the ability for companies to buy and sell their own stock, we gave up long-term progress of companies for short-term quarterly profits. We've optimized ourselves into being robotic in our own way. Um, People aren't people anymore. They're account numbers. If you look at your insurance company doesn't know your name. They barely even know your identity number, right? So your insurance card will have an account number, right? Your identity number. And when you call your insurance company, whether it's healthcare, car, auto, whatever it might be, they don't know your name. They don't know your number. You have to explain this all to them. And then they say, all right, what can I do for you? That in of itself takes away the experience of being connected to somebody. So our CRM, our customer retention, our customer software that we use, when somebody calls in, that information automatically pops up on the screen of our call center. So the first thing out of our call agents is, hi, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, Mr. or Miss So-and-so, how can I help you? Because that information is already present. You are identifying that person, not as an account number, not as a customer. We're identifying you as a person who has a problem. That alone has pushed us to the success that we've had so far. And in a way, it's almost sad. Yes, I like being a successful company. Yes, I like our company growing. But at the same time, we really shouldn't exist because this should be common sense. This should be just common courtesy to a customer, just knowing their name. We have the technology, we have the tools, we have the software to do it. Billion-dollar company. You can't implement that policy to all your agents that when a customer calls in, they have an account. You can't identify them. That's simple enough to do. We did it, and we're growing, and we'll keep that. It's one of our core pillars, and we will not change that for anybody.
Congratulations, Mr. Andrew, for sharing Tech Rescue to the world. Could you share examples of people or communities already suffering from tech-related mental health issues?
Of course, you can look at any college and university in the United States. The amount of depression cases have skyrocketed over the past 10 years. 1 out of 5 kids are complaining about anxiety, depression. Overall, 1 in 4 have had suicidal thoughts in our universities. Why? Because we're putting this, we aren't, but we're allowing this external force of pressure to push on the young, impressionable minds of our country. What do we do? What do we see our kids doing? They're emulating the people that they see around them. And if you're not on Twitter, if you're not on Facebook, if you're not on TikTok, if you're not friends, if you're not following, that's what everybody says. And I understand it's a business. Follow me. If you like this, follow me. But you don't know this person. You don't know what they believe in. You don't know what their personal thoughts and views are. And yet we're adding revenue to it. So we literally could be fueling and dumping money into our own social destruction.
Yes. Indeed. So, is there a connection between tech anxiety and the rise in depression or suicide rates?
I'm sure that there are a couple of ongoing studies that are being done on this as we speak. I would not be surprised. I'm more than happy to offer our data to those medical research and those mental research studies that are going on out there in the world. I think that this is something that can be addressed, should be addressed, and Tech Rescue is more than willing to help out and contribute to finding a solution to maybe help this. Maybe we put ourselves on timers. We only absorb maybe 30 minutes of social media a day. Maybe we only do an hour a day of social media. There has to be something that can balance this, right? You don't eat chocolate all day long, do you?
Yes. Not
Why?
all day long.
Because it's bad for you. You don't eat chocolate all day because it's bad for you. It's unhealthy. But science and studies across multiple different countries, across multiple universities have shown that chocolate over 75% pure cocoa paired with red wine, as a dessert, we're talking about what, maybe 3 to 5 grams of chocolate a day, has slowly reduced the risks of heart attack, stroke in Americans over the course of 5-10 years, because the cocoa in chocolate is good for the heart. Red wine is good for the bloodstream. So pairing these two things on a controlled basis has led to great successes. But we all know that if you drink too much wine, bad things are going to happen. If you eat too much chocolate, bad things are going to happen. We are over consuming social media. We are over absorbing technology.
Too much, people, too much. And we don't have a discipline of doing it. So, as the founder and CEO of Vimtech, what will be your short term and long term goals?
Our short-term goals is to be able to help as many people as we can. We want to bring humanity back to technology. We'll never have chatbots. We won't have robots. There's nobody, there's not going to be automations answering the phone ever, 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 ever. I don't care if we get stagnated in a certain position. That's fine. We're not going to change the core value of our organization. Our long-term goal would be global expansion. We believe that there is a lot of good that we can do in the world, and for what we're offering in terms of our monthly subscription or our annual subscription, we feel that this is something that the market can benefit from.
Well, good luck to your goals, Mr. Andrew. And to sum up our discussion for today, what future trends in technology concern you the most when it comes to mental health?
I think that there could be a good pairing between wearable technology that we see in the next 5 years. We're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of about $17 trillion in the next 10 years over the course of smart devices, whether they're watches, eyeglasses, VR headsets. This trend is not going away. This genie is out of the bottle, and we need to embrace it. So while embracing it, we also need to know how to use it. Um, if we learn to do that, I think the world that which we see is going to be a virtual reality world will be a much better one, right? So medical students are utilizing VR headsets to practice medical research. They're learning how to practice surgery. These tools can be implemented in many different things: manufacturing, industrial complexes, nuclear energy. The list goes on and on and on. Um, but we need to identify what is a tool and what is an addiction. And I think we need to have an honest discussion about that. And we need to identify some of the triggers, some of the symptoms, and also some of the things that we can do to help reduce that. And I think and it's not going to be a quick fix. And this is where the American problem is that we always think that we can solve it quickly. Some things just can't be solved overnight. It's a process. Technology, the way that we have it, did not come overnight. Yes, we were able to expand in quicker and quicker and quicker amount of time with quicker success rates, but we did not get there overnight. We got there through the very first sets of computers, which were binary code, zeros and ones, and punch card systems, with computers that were the size of rooms. Rooms used to be computers, to now where your cell phone has more computing power than the space shuttle launch in 1969. Your phone could launch the space shuttle and Neil Armstrong to the moon. It has more computing power in that device than what was used in the lunar landing.
Well, indeed, very well said, Mr. Andrew Bolton. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. Thank you so much for sharing your business to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your business itself?
So you can visit us at www.techrescue.io. You can call us 24 hours a day at 855-250-8586.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Andrew Bolton, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering business to come. So, Mr. Andrew, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
More to come, people. See you soon.